Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg,
I am here.
We have before us for approval the minutes of our August 1st meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, we approve those. I'll second it.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg,
Yes.
We will now open for public comment. You have 3 minutes to discuss any subject you'd like. It is a public comment, not a question and answer period. Is there any public comment?
Yes. Glenn Klotz, 118 North Barclay Avenue. I'm here today representing the Margate Boardwalk Committee. I have some documents specifically that I would like to put on the record. The first document that I'd like to put on the record is a report that the committee, at the behest of one of the commissioners, Commissioner Blumberg, in a meeting last year, the committee met with all 3 of the present commissioners, and Commissioner Blumberg in our meeting asked that our committee write a report. We took quite a bit of time to do it, but we did write it. Here it is, a Margate Boardwalk for the 21st century. We'd like to put this on the public record. It's available at our website, www.themargateboardwalk.com. Anybody can download it and read it, and we hope that people will download it and read it. All of our positions are here, and our plans are in this document. It's 26 pages long, so that I would like to put on the record. The second set of documents that I would like to put on the record were also a request from one of the commissioners last year. Commissioner Blumberg again asked us at that time to write up a petition and get 500 signatures on it. We did that. We got 613 signatures. However, our petition, this is not an initiative. It is not, only the commission, as we all know, or the commission knows, and some of the public knows, can put a question up for a referendum. We're aware of that. This is a citizen petition. And basically what it says, it urges the commission to put the question of building a boardwalk in Margate on the beach up for a referendum at some point. But it also asked for a poll to be taken of all of the taxpayers. Now that idea came to us from Commissioner Amadeo in a meeting we had with him. We accepted that idea. We felt that that was a very good idea. And the reason why, simply put, is this is a very, very big project, okay? We understand that. We think it needs to meet the highest criteria. And the highest criteria to us is to ask everybody. Ask the taxpayers, okay, and then ask the voters. We asked in this document that that be done concurrently. However, after speaking with Commissioner Blumberg, we also came up with the idea, Commissioner Blumberg did, of doing it in a what's the order? A sequence, excuse me, in a sequential.
Glenn, time's up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I can finish in 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
finish.
I'll finish in 30 seconds. Anyway, I'd like to put this on the public record, okay, all of our signatures on that.
Is there any other paperwork that we should know?
No,
in there?
there will be, but another speaker, not me, okay?
Okay.
any rate, I would like to close with saying that I would like for the commission to consider, okay, a poll specifically done in a sequential fashion. And from that poll, if that poll shows affirmative, that then the commission moves on from there to consider some kind of referendum. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham.
Hi, Stephanie Block, 4 North Brunswick Avenue. I'm also a member of the Margate Boardwalk Committee, and I would like to submit for the commission a copy of a March 13th, 2019 Stockton University letter written by Dr. Marissa Levy, who is a criminologist with expertise in crime prevention, and specifically she has a specialization in site surveys used to design safe places. So I'd like to put this on the public record, and I would suggest that anybody who hasn't read our report go on the website and read it. Dr. Levy, absolutely, due to her specialty and our request to her to do a site survey based on some prior questions from some Margate residents about the issue of safety and security, should we do a beach-wide boardwalk, she did a site survey starting on Coolidge Avenue in the south and working her way all the way up to Fredericksburg Avenue, where the Ventnor Boardwalk ends. She also surveyed the 3 blocks adjacent to the proposed boardwalk, and she came up with some conclusions based on her specialization and what she saw. And her conclusions were that a Margate boardwalk would not increase crime in this town 1 iota. She concluded that a Margate boardwalk, a residential boardwalk, not a commercial boardwalk, would in fact make the beach block properties and the beach front properties safer due to 2 factors, one being informal surveillance, which is what you would get from walkers, bikers, runners, people just sitting on the boardwalk who can see these properties should something alert them to look over there, and those properties are mainly unoccupied for most of the year. So you're having all the people utilizing the boardwalk that can note any trouble and contact the authorities if necessary. And it also puts formal surveillance of specifically these properties, beach block properties, but also for all of Margate. Formal surveillance would be assuming that the police would utilize our boardwalk like they do in Atlantic City and in Ventnor, and they would patrol it during the day, during the evening, during the nighttime, and they would see if there were any problem. Besides that, there's another aspect of safety and security.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll be back.
Are you almost, okay. Will you want to give
Could I
that to
just
Ms.
quickly finish it up?
Do you have something to present to us?
Sure.
That study?
I did, I gave,
Okay, okay,
but
so
can I have like 30 seconds more?
20.
Okay, I'm going to talk really fast. When the season is over and the lifeguards are gone, and all the people in Margate that love walking their pets on the beach, in the past, prior to our famous dunes, you could be seen. You could be seen probably from Atlantic Avenue. You just look down the street, you could see people walking on the beach. Now that we have this large barrier, should you be walking on the beach after the season's over, after all the people are gone, and you have a medical problem, you have a stroke, God forbid, or you have a heart attack, or you fall, and you're lying on the beach, no one is going to see you. If you have a boardwalk, you will be seen. Medical help can get to you quicker, and maybe your life or that of a loved one or a friend will be saved.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Ken Davidson, 8015 Monmouth Avenue. So you guys ever go to a museum or a monument or a park and there's a government shutdown? Well, we kind of got a government shutdown here in Margate, and it's probably the longest and biggest. After we've seen all this expansion going on in the city, our 3-bedroom houses are now 5-bedroom houses with an elevator and an awfully small garage that holds a whole lot of bicycles. Anyway, we see the population growth, and it's not going to get any less from now on, because not all of those 60s split levels are down, the cottages and the bungalows. Now let's add in Airbnbs. People are renting their houses at any given time, so we've reduced all of the rental, any of the regulations. People are coming in big groups, which is great, but they're doing the same things as us. They're on the weekends, they're dropping their cars right in front of the house, getting on their bikes and riding around, everybody all in groups. It's become a super big issue on Atlantic Avenue. It is very unsafe. I know you guys did everything you could. Bike lanes, reducing speed limits, but now the population has swelled way too big. Let's get back to the government shutdown. You guys have to go and meet all the requirements for the ADAs. You have to cut out sidewalks. Why? Because a 5-inch curb can stop somebody dead in the tracks. Now go to the end of the street and get a cane or get a wheelchair and try and get through the dead zone and over the mountain. And I mean a mountain, because to a lot of segments of society that we left out in this town, that is Mount Everest. So there is a need for a boardwalk, especially for people with disabilities, handicaps, elderly. You're stopping them dead in the tracks with a mountain full of sand from one end of town to the other, 14 feet high. And you're throwing a blue mat behind it and calling it a handicap ramp. So, from 1962 to now, people might have wanted a boardwalk. But that want has now become a necessity for safety, like you say, on the other side of the beach where nobody can see. Safety for all the bicyclists that are coming to town, and we're not just getting locals and people buying second homes, we're getting vacationers from all over the country. And they're coming here. And they want to be safe with their families, their little kids, riding 6, 7 in a row. Let's get some safety in this town. And let's get some accessibility for everybody.
Thank you, Ken.
Hi, my name's Steve Davidson, 209 North Essex. I am a member of the Boardwalk Committee, and I joined the committee because when Margate was put into the project, our beach was divided. One half of the dune on the bulkhead side and the other half on the ocean side with a 14-foot tall dune in the middle. Post-project, people do have a hard time getting to the beach, and you can't see the beach from the street, feel the ocean breeze. The elderly, infirm, young families with children find it hard to get to the beach, and it's difficult, just difficult to get to the beach now. Gone is a wide open beach from one end of Margate to the other, from the ocean to the bulkhead. That was what made Margate different from many other beaches, including Ventnor and Atlantic City. Margate now has what I see as a project built for a boardwalk beach without a boardwalk. The consequences of the beach project is the loss of Margate's connection with the ocean, easy access to the ocean. One of the main reasons people come and live here in Margate. I believe the boardwalk will reconnect Margate to the ocean and the beach. I realize that building a boardwalk in Margate would take a great effort and to be backed up by a majority of the citizens of Margate. As a member of the Boardwalk Committee, I wanted to be a part of the group that advocated building a boardwalk, but also find out the best way to do it, the ability, the cost, and the cost to the taxpayer, to explain our reasons, to open a dialogue through our report to all Margate citizens to discuss the idea of the boardwalk. We had our presentation and our report at the Ross School. We released our report to the public on the www.themargateboardwalk.com and created the non-binding petition that Glenn submitted for the taxpayers and the voters of Margate to sign asking the commission to place a question on the ballot and to see if the people of Margate wanted to build a boardwalk, and at the same time, or sequentially, have the city of Margate do a poll of all the taxpayers to see if they wanted a Margate built in boardwalk built in Margate. Thank you.
Thank you, Hank.
Hello, I'm Jay Weintraub at 10 North Franklin. I'm here today as the president of the Margate Homeowners Association to share information with you. I'd like to submit for a record a letter that we've composed. Our board made a decision a few weeks ago to run our own independent poll. So I'm going to read to you our letter and the results of that poll so it's on this record. The MHA conducted our own independent poll to better understand how our members felt about a boardwalk along the Margate Beach. The poll was for informational purposes only. The MHA is not, and as of this writing, will not take a stance for or against a boardwalk in Margate, New Jersey. Our poll was taken on our website at www.margatehomeowners.com. The poll opened at noon on Monday, July 29th at 12 noon and closed July 31st at 12 noon. To ensure we did not have multiple votes for the same people, we had our poll set to recognize electronically the origin of each vote, to eliminate multiple votes and maintain the integrity of our poll. The 638 votes that were tallied over those 2 days, 400 were votes yes in favor of the boardwalk, 186 votes were not in favor of a boardwalk, and 52 votes were unsure. As a point of interest, our membership is made up of 64% non-voting second homeowners and 36% full-time voting members of this community. With this placed on the record, we believe it's incumbent upon you as the commissioners to give all of Margate a chance to voice their opinion by conducting a poll. I would suggest that that poll be conducted by Rutgers or by Stockton, totally independent, so no one could say anybody scolded or played around with the numbers, and give all the taxpayers of Margate a chance to voice their opinion to see whether or not this makes sense. And if there's an overwhelming majority in favor of the boardwalk, we would ask then you go to a voting referendum of the community of voters. So I wanted to submit this on this record so you would have it.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Olch, 20 South Decatur Avenue. I am Vice President of the Margate Homeowners Association. Through our webpage, we have taken surveys. We've also mailed out to our members to find out what they feel are the two biggest problems in Margate. Both problems came back safety related. One being on the beach, one being on the major streets. As far as the beach goes, we were asked to convey about putting street signs on the lifeguard stands because, God forbid, if there is an emergency, nobody knows where they are, especially for out-of-towners. Give you an example, we have friends down here from Philadelphia area. We were going to meet them on the beach. We asked them for their location. They said, we're right in front of Lucy. We went to the beach on Decatur Avenue. We took 10 minutes to try to locate them, only to find out they're on Cedar Grove. However, Lucy, her face is directional towards Cedar Grove. God forbid there's an emergency with a child, somebody having a heart attack. That's precious time that should be taken into consideration. I feel that the signs should have been put up long ago, and they need to be done. I know they probably won't be done this year, but I know that materials were supposed to be in-house and be printed when they could find somebody to do it. With Labor Day coming up, it should be done sooner rather than later when the lifeguard stands are taken off and brought back to the yard. The other area of concern as far as safety is about the major streets, the intersections along Atlantic Avenue, and various other locations. We were asked about putting neon cones or something to make the drivers and pedestrians aware of the traffic and the problems that are involved. I don't know what is being done at this point. Can somebody answer? I know this is not a question and answer, but with the 30 seconds that
Somebody will get back to you, Mark, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Gentleman, Len Wahlberg, 9100 Beach. About this time last year, when we were talking at one of these meetings, you gentlemen made it clear that a particular project that had been going on, which was that we were changing some of the zoning out at the ocean there so that the greenhouse could sell its property and perhaps bring in a high-rise either apartment or a hotel. And you told us that this project was dead and finished and over, which I was, and many of us were glad to hear. Has there been anything further done? Have there been any changes as far as this is concerned?
Nothing has changed. Okay, it's still, and I don't mean to be rude, I really don't. The format is, it is not a question and answer period, it's for public comment. We will get you your answers in another way, but not today, but there has been no change.
So I expect to hear from you then on this issue. Or did you answer it?
He said there was no change.
No change. That's the answer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Dr. Robert Davis. I live at 12 North Jefferson Avenue. With the subject of the boardwalk and why I feel we should do it. If you look at the crowd here, okay, we don't have many 18-year-olds, okay? And if you're not at the height of the season, if it's slow, and you're on Ventnor Avenue walking, the majority of your walkers are senior citizens. It's healthy to walk. It would be healthy to have a boardwalk with some chairs on it, not necessarily any hunky-tonk things. This is not a kid's boardwalk. Healthy physically as well as mentally for people getting on in years. I think that that would be an enormous draw for Margate. It's a quiet residential community, and I think it would be a tremendous asset if we bit the bullet and did something like that.
Thank you.
My name's Stephen Bronstein. I live 109 South Essex. I'm not a member of the Boardwalk Committee. I think the situation in Margate is, you heard from other people, we're overcrowded now in terms of people during the season. And I think the idea of building a boardwalk in order to draw more people, I don't think holds much water. The people that are in the municipality, the policemen and the fire workers, and the sanitation workers have better things to do than to take on another chore. We hire more people. Who's going to pay for this project? Who's going to pay for the maintenance? The beaches were just done last year. Most of the beaches are smaller than they were previously, and the access is pretty rough to them. Now you're going to build a boardwalk on top of it. To me, I think it's a nice idea, but it's not very practical. I don't think, and as far as safety is concerned, I think that if people are concerned about their safety, it would probably be a lot more economically feasible to put an alarm system in your house. Okay? rather than go through the trials and tribulations like we did last year or the year before when the state decided, well, we're going to change the beaches. And we were all inconvenienced. And if you took a hand vote, how many people were really happy with that now? You'd have mixed reaction. So I think our efforts are better put in maintaining what we have and staying the way we are, as opposed to put a boardwalk in that when I get older, I'll be able to walk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Put him down as a no.
Good afternoon. I'm Ellen Lichtenstein. I'm from 411 North Exeter Avenue. I want to speak to the issue that's not being spoke to, the essence of our town. I grew up here. I love this city. So much so that I moved back here after college. I raised my own family here. If somebody asked me if we wanted a boardwalk, I would have laughed at them a couple of years ago. It's a great city. What do we need a boardwalk for? But the town's changed drastically. The essence of the beach has been taken out of our control. It's a completely different beach. I can't get my family over the dune. I have a husband with a walking handicap. It's too high for him. I don't know what I'm doing here anymore. I live here for the beach, and I can't enjoy it. My family cannot enjoy it. The control was taken out of our hands by a vengeful man who had a vendetta against us. I want to take the control back in my home. It's not a life and death situation. We have a very rapidly changing world that we live in. But this is our house, this is our home. And we have a right to try to influence it so that we can all enjoy what we're doing here. Families with gear are struggling over the humps of these things. Elderly people are knocked out of the running from even getting onto the beach anymore. People that have any disabilities at all can't handle it. There are not parking spaces around the handicapped entrances. There's no way for me to tell the shuttle people where and when I'll be where and when I'll be there. We need help over the boardwalk. This isn't just a nicety, it is a necessity. We need help over the beach via some mechanism that'll create a better lifestyle for all of us, give us back our connection to our community, which has been dissected up the wazoo. Everyone knew where I sat before to visit each other. We have a very well-connected city. Now it's disconnected. This boardwalk goes beyond the frill. This is what we need to help us, and it has widespread implications on so many levels. The health of Atlantic Avenue and our citizens riding bikes, the fact that we enjoy the boardwalk, but we don't contribute to it at all, that it could increase our lifestyle and our happiness in town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ronald Zukin. I live at 8400 Atlantic Avenue, and that is at Jerome and Atlantic. We bought our home in 1974 BC before casinos. I've seen a lot of these issues come up. I'll take you back, I think it's about 12 years ago, when residents wanted parking on Beach Block. After the studies, they found out that Margate was not suitable to park on Beach Block for safety and security reasons, with kids coming with their surfboards, and certainly there was no capability of a fire truck to turn around or ambulances, and the same thing exists. I love a boardwalk as much as all my friends and neighbors love a boardwalk, and that's why I walk once a week at least to Ventnor and Atlantic City and take my bicycle most mornings there, and I thank the people of Ventnor and Atlantic City for giving me a boardwalk that I don't have to pay for. I don't want to pay for the extra police. I don't want to pay for the construction. I don't want to pay for the maintenance. And when I came here in 1974, I looked at Atlantic City and I looked at Ventnor. But then I walked down on the beach in Margate and I was sold. Well, now I have an eyesore, and since there seems to be so much money to spend, I'd love if next summer, perhaps, and we're concerned about access for older people, extending that blue matting up the sand dunes would be a great help. But looking at, I don't need another eyesore, and being on Beach Block, we have a great perk. We're right there. But there's also a negative. People coming off the beach, and they're not locals. They leave their trash, their beer cans, they clean up before they get on cars, they use our hoses. And we have traffic going by our home all day, and that's great. I welcome it. I look forward to seeing the people. I really don't want to see that all night also. And it creates an issue and the security for our homes, and it certainly isn't going to do anything for our value. We have Avalon, we have Stone Harbor. There are so many communities that have survived very well without a boardwalk, and we won't have one. I don't have to worry about it.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Mark Rubin, 117 South Osborne. I just want to go through some costs of what this could entail the city. First of all, has anybody looked at their tax bills? You'll find out I'm paying $560 a year just to run the library. I can't even imagine what it costs to run a boardwalk, but a lot of the estimates are coming in at $2.5 to $3 million a year. We have to hire 6 more police officers, which is 2 per shift. You've got liability insurance, which is going to be incredible, because if there is a storm and that boardwalk blows through the beachfront homes, the city's going to end up buying them. You've got electric bills. You've got to hire more maintenance people to clean up under the boardwalks. You've got to have maintenance people clean on top of the boardwalks. And then there's the maintenance of the boardwalks themselves. And I have a couple of articles here. The Atlantic City Press reported on March 22nd, 2019, that Atlantic City wanted to replace some of its bad boards, the ones were rotting and had nails sticking out of it. The cost is $55 million just to replace those boards. Another article from the Atlantic City Press of August 11, 2017. It is the Wildwood Boardwalk. They decided they were going to replace just the boards in their boardwalk. Their estimate was $800 to $1 million per block. Okay? So that was to replace the boards on the top. So let's just say we could actually build the entire boardwalk for $1 million a block. It's $35 million. There are 7,000 taxpayers in the city. It's $5,000 per house it's going to cost to build this boardwalk. If you take over 10 years, you have $3 million in the cost to run it. It's another $30 million. So you can add over a 10-year period, it would cost each tax-paying household in this town $10,000. On top of that, you've got a lot of other problems. We've got the pipe which runs down the beach. I'm not seeing the Army being too enthusiastic about us punching thousands of holes on both sides of that pipe where they can't service it. You have other problems where you have driveways, which the ramps would block. So the city's going to have to pay to move people's entire driveways. You've got riparian rights on 13 homes or so where they own the beach. These are problems which are going to bankrupt this city. And I think it's an ill-conceived project. Again, I moved to this town because there was no boardwalk. I could have moved to Ventnor. I could have moved to Ocean City. I chose Margate because of its idyllic scenery and peacefulness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
gentlemen. My name's Greg Lichtenstein, 411 North Exeter Avenue, and I am the finance guy for the Boardwalk Committee. And I know that we live in a democracy and that people are entitled to say whatever they want, and that's a good thing. But I think decisions have to be made on facts. And the previous couple of gentlemen that just spoke about the numbers, they didn't add up to me at all. Just to let you know, I have a PhD from the Wharton School. I have been the CEO and CFO of numerous companies. And we have actually done in the report a financial analysis of what it would cost a household in additional taxes for the boardwalk. So I'd like you to know that based on the versions of the boardwalk, and we proposed 3 different versions, it would be an additional 32 cents to 50 cents a day for an average taxpayer. Now, an average taxpayer in Margate is someone who owns a home that's valued at $537,000. So if you have a home that's less than that, it will be, the additional taxes will be less than that. If you have a home that's more than that, the taxes will be higher. So that turns out to be about an average of $150 a year. Now, the other important thing you have to realize is there are many funding sources for a boardwalk, both federal, state, and regional. And we heard earlier today about how Margate is actually quite successful in obtaining funding from multiple sources. So we actually believe that the cost of the boardwalk would be significantly less than that. And I'd like to just address 2 other concerns. People that live on the boardwalk or on the beach block live next to a public park. They are not entitled to any special privileges than anyone else. So we all live in a beach community. We have people drive by our houses. We have them ride bikes. We have them get on and off the beach. If you live on the beach block, that's something that comes with the territory. So we believe that the decision should ultimately be made by the taxpayers and the folks that vote in this community. And I would urge folks to look at the actual information contained in our report. And let's speak to the facts rather than the fantasies and the fears that people have about us being inundated. We want a boardwalk for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Linda Novelli, 9510 Atlantic Avenue, Margate. I listened to a lot of the budget analysis and cost analysis, and as a business person in Margate and in the surrounding area, I believe that one of the main attractions of Margate is that we have a lower tax bracket. I hear that they're saying that only $150 per household may be attributed to the boardwalk. I just don't believe that. I believe that the homeowners that are beach block and are ocean front that have bought those properties, although it is a public park, bought them on the attributions that they had oceanfront living. That is taken away. There is going to be some devaluation of oceanfront property and beach block property attributed to those homeowners. I think that we have to consider that when we consider this boardwalk. I also feel that, like someone else said earlier, we are a unique town without a boardwalk. We are different, and people have bought here because we don't have the boardwalk. We don't have the rides. We're not selling the saltwater taffies. I know that Ventnor doesn't either, but at the end of the day, it's a nice, quiet, sleepy town, and I'm advocating that we keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Hello, and thank you. My name is Beth Turchi. I live at 111 South Sumner Avenue, which is where Dr. Levy does not live. It's on the beach. I don't vote in this town. But I've lived here for 35 years. My husband's been here for over 50. And I love this town as much as those of you that do vote here. I have a couple concerns. I don't care what Dr. Levy says. It is very concerning to me to have a lack of privacy and a lack of security. And I understand that your study says otherwise. That's one study, that's one person. I'm telling you, as somebody who lives there, I will not feel safe and I will not feel private with a boardwalk in front of my home. I understand the boardwalk is going to be placed on a public park. I get that. But I don't understand what it's for. Much like the Dune project that started out being something that was going to put sand this way, it turned out to be something that was supposed to save life and limb. This project, this whole idea of a boardwalk started out having to do with this dead space between the dune and the bulkhead. Now it's grown into it's going to solve this problem, it's going to solve that problem. I understand that there are positives to a boardwalk. I'm not so sure that the cost of them outweighs the downside. Another downside to not being someone who votes in this town, that $150 per household, as you mentioned, is an average. The homes on the beach that do not vote here pay an exorbitantly disproportionate amount of taxes to this city. We are happy to do it. We enjoy the beach block living. But I don't think it's fair to come up with average numbers when the reality is that beach block and beachfront homeowners will have a disproportionate amount of expense towards this dune boggle that will take away my sense of privacy and my sense of security. If the Margate Homeowners Association does poll the homeowners, which are not voters of themselves, homeowners, I would suggest that it is incumbent upon you to get the beachfront homes, the beach block homeowners, part of that poll, because it's important to get that voice, especially in this community that we love as much as you folks that get to vote, that we get a say, so that you get to hear how we feel about this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ernest Posner, 13 South Haverford Avenue in Margate. And I would just like to say that whoever talked earlier about the safety features on the beach and the fact that the beach has handicapped areas, they are definitely a misnomer. We can't get on the beach like we used to by the library because the ramp now is twice as long as it used to be to circumvent and circle over and go under to get to the sand. Also, the beach is probably 50 to 100 feet wider than it used to be. So there's a lot of reasons why we as handicapped or even non-handicapped, but we have a lot of elderly people in the township, and they need to be able to have access to the beach. I will say that this little taxi service at the beach guard is very nice. I've used it a few times. Sometimes I walk out, sometimes I use them. But I would like to make one suggestion. My wife is in favor of a boardwalk for sure. And I think that there are lots of towns that don't have a boardwalk. There are lots of towns that do. We're only comparing it to the two on either side of us. If we're going to build a boardwalk, I want to know why we can't build it wide enough in a couple of areas, maybe facing the library and maybe up by Lucy, where we could put in some commercial stands, and those stands could raise funds and help reduce our costs. If we had a few of those just in there for a couple of 100 yards, we could have a little more access and a little more fun. And I think the boardwalk is probably a good idea and would enhance everything we do in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Glenn, I have to call you. There's a lot of people here who have to speak.
Thank you. Hello, Susan Rubin, 117, 119 South Osborne Avenue.
I understand the reasons that everybody would like a boardwalk, but I'm going to give you some information I think everybody really needs to have. Firstly, I disagree with Dr. Levy with her report about the crime. Sounds like she only did it from Coolidge to where? To Fredericksburg. That's fine. It is a straight line on a bicycle from Atlantic City. I don't care what you say. And if people drive straight down, it's a security risk to anybody with a beachfront property, not to mention what kids will do under the boardwalk. And I'm not talking sex, I'm talking drugs. So that's
Just go through it.
Okay, may I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Mayor Becker. Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?